Hello everyone and welcome back to our YouTube channel Sharang and Sharvari. First of all, I wanted to thank you guys for the insane response to the last video. So it has like around 1100 views and we gained a bunch of subscribers. I know it was a relatively controversial video. We genuinely want to thank all the input that we got, even people who criticized us. Um, because genuinely like some of your criticisms were quite insightful and like you asked probing questions, you asked like it really led us to introspect a few of our positions. And so yeah, thank you for your input. Some I guess were a bit mean, the comments.
I mean, I've heard that if you decide to have a channel on YouTube, trolling is going to be part of your life. So yeah,
Yes,
why not?
so we have no issues with people criticizing us. In fact, like as I said, a lot of people were saying that you guys are wrong about this or you have not considered this evidence, which is great. But just saying that you guys are Mr. and Mrs. Sanghi is, I mean, fine, we accept it. We are YouTubers, so to some extent, this is bound to happen. I guess we need to grow thicker skins and learn to roll with the punches, I suppose.
And I think, since we are broadcasting, I would say, I don't know, but we are speaking from India, and this country does allow everyone to have freedom of speech and
Yes.
expression. So we really, really accept that you guys have a different opinion. But of course, the right of whether we liked it or not lies with us.
Yeah.
And for that comment, I would say we did not like it.
Yeah.
But again, you have the right of freedom of speech, but we also have the right to not react on it or comment anything back on it.
Yeah.
So if you comment down in the comment section below and we feel that it's something we don't agree with or we think it's a bit too offensive, then you'll not hear from us. So just putting it out there.
Yeah, and the thing is, like I just want to make it clear. I have repeated this in the past. Like we tried to be as respectful as we possibly can, and I don't think either of us has ever engaged in name calling anyone. And we've especially been very, very careful about denigrating communities or being respectful of communities and even individuals. Because one day, I hope that if and when we have children, like our child can see these videos, and that has always been the ideology that drives this channel, that it has to be a great communal space where people debate ideas and it's a clash of ideas, it's never a clash of people. So yeah, like you can engage in unproductive name calling and it is what it is. And I think let's just end the matter here before it proceeds any further and go back to today's, and thank for you for all our subscribers who have shown us love and even the critics. With that out of the way, I would like to go back to today's topic, which was funnily enough also my idea, which is unusual for me to have a top idea in this regard. So Sharvari and I were just chilling. We were discussing the circumstances of our marriage and what we led. And this led us to the classic Indian theme, which is arranged marriage karna hai ya love marriage karna hai, which I think is the dilemma that most people in the Gen Z face. Sharvari, as a young Gen Z woman, what are your thoughts? Arrange kiya, love kiya, kya kiya?
I really like the part where you said young. Thank you so much.
Yeah, like you're still young, so enjoy it while it lasts.
I mean, they say never ask a woman
It's
her age.
all downhill from here. I know your age.
But let me in on a trade secret. Actually, all of our subscribers know this fact because we have mentioned it a lot of times in our how we met video. So actually, ours is a very interesting story. We have an arranged love marriage. Now people will say, you guys are just making things up. But it really happened. I mean, I used to cringe at people before we used to say this phrase, but really it does exist. And if you want to know how we met and how we got married, you should go and see that video because that's definitely a good watch. But to answer your question, my take on arranged or love marriage. I mean, I am a believer of this fact that once you get married, it's all in the same.
Yeah, but the point is like before that, like as a like
Should you?
let's say no, like more like yeah, or if you're a young Gen Z woman who's single or unmarried and thinking about going this route, or she's just confused as what to do with her life, like what would be your advice to her as someone who's already married?
So I would say, like I will maybe present the pros and cons of both.
Okay.
So in the case of a love marriage, like I have a few friends who have gone through love marriages and they are in happy marriages. so far. So I would say you should really take your time in knowing your partner. I mean, there are sometimes stories I hear about people just dating for 1 or 2 years and then in a love marriage, and then the guy proposes and they go ahead and then they find out it didn't work out because maybe you didn't really work your relationship out to the point where it will go to marriage. So I think an ideal time frame would be knowing a person for 2 to 3 years so that you know who they really are instead of them, not showing you who they are. And I think you need to live with a person for an extended period of time. In a love marriage, this is not that easy because
It cannot happen.
it cannot happen because there are certain cultural norms. But I would say at least get to know the family and not too soon. Like, don't rush into things because that will just cause a lot of bad consequences. You should take your time. You should make sure, think whether you're sure or not to marry this person, and then go ahead. So that would be one tip I would recommend for those going through a love marriage. Uh, a con that I see in a love marriage is that people really like people say that they're one thing, but they actually are not that thing.
But that's just a con of people being liars. I don't think because conceivably that can also happen in arranged marriage, right? I'm trying to sharpen your argument here.
Yeah, definitely. But in the case of a love marriage, like considering the scenario that the people who are dating have decided to marry after going through with it for at least 2 to 3 years, you have been with that person for an extended period of time. And after that, if you find stuff out, then it will be problematic, in my opinion. So that might be a con of a love marriage. And in the case of an arranged marriage, of course, like both cases, but mainly for an arranged marriage, you must know the family background because all the matrimonial sites they have information printed there on it, but like people lie there as well. So you should get to know the family, you should get to know how they are, and just meet up with the guy and just make sure that things are proceeding in the right manner. Because I'm gonna cover a whole segment on the problems associated with these websites since I went through it myself as well as a few friends, relatives. So that would be my
So did I.
exactly. Like I meant from a women.
Right.
Of course, you will have one as well, like from a male point of view. So you can share that. But that would be my take on this.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to look at it from a somewhat of a different perspective. So the thing is, we have to look, if you study history enough, and I'm someone who's a fan of history, I'm trying to learn more, read more. What we have to look at is, do some type of arrangements and do certain behavioral patterns work in the historical context or no? So if you look at history, for the vast majority of time, we actually have not had love marriages. The arranged marriages have been the norm throughout all of human history. And I'm not necessarily saying that they're good or they're bad. It's not about a pros and cons list as far as I'm concerned. It's more, what is a model for human behavior that works? Because often in modern times, when we try to analyze human behavior, our default assumption is that human beings are a bunch of rational, logical creatures. So then, when being presented with a bunch of facts, they'll choose the most logical option. And the way to convince someone is to present them the most logical argument. And if you look at history and human behavior, that could not be further from the truth. We are crazy, irrational, illogical monkeys. The problem with you deciding by yourself, for yourself, trying to pick a person, is that there are potentially an infinite number of variables along which you can assess the reproductive fecundity, fitness of a person, and decide whether they are worthy of you for marriage, man or woman. As one human being, you're relatively limited in terms of your cognitive ability to judge that interaction and to judge a person.
Right.
In order to facilitate and make this process easier, what the mechanism that we have developed socio-culturally has been that we distribute the decision-making process, cognitively speaking, amongst our relatives and amongst our communities. Because when you're trying to pick a person, oftentimes what happens is that we are blinded by a bunch of variables. So in case of women, how rich the guy is or how much status he has, is he a prince, in terms of, or in case of men, how beautiful she is, how sexy, hot she is, and you're blinded, right? Because ultimately what will serve you well in life in a partner is moral character, and oftentimes we hear, especially in the modern era, that, oh, are their personalities compatible? Is that compatible? Are that? But the thing is, human beings are not meant to be similar. We're meant to be complement. We are meant to complement each other.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, as men and women, we're quite different. But I think when people have shared values, a shared vision, a shared goal for life, a shared thing that they're both working towards, then I think you tend to think about things in a different way. And even if you're quite different from someone, or relatively different from someone temperamentally and personality wise, if you have the shared values, you can find a way to adjust with that. But if your life is going this way and my life is going that way, right? Let's say you are an extremely left-wing woman who believes that kids should be allowed to transition, and I'm a completely conservative person who doesn't think that gay people should have rights. I'm not saying you are bad or I'm bad. I'm just presenting the two extremes, right? And in these extremes, compromise cannot happen because you can't compromise between that extreme positions,
right?
Without
that makes sense.
So again, so basically that is why, and we've seen this play out in the West. Like in the West, arranged marriages do not exist, and the divorce rates are catastrophic. Whereas in other countries, especially countries like India, and many people in the West think that arranged marriages involve force on the woman. That could not be further from the truth. In India, women are free to reject all the men she wants. She can happily be single for the rest of her life, but she literally gets help from her family while choosing, the same way a European woman would take help from her girlfriends.
Exactly.
Right? So, like, I think on a systemic basis, it just works. Arranged marriages work better. And that's why I feel that they are the better alternative. Over to you.
Right. I mean, what I would say here is that it's like what suits you pretty much. So I can't believe I'm saying this. I was this person who had, when my mom asked me, when do you want to get married? I was pretty young, but it was just a topic of leisure at the time. So I remember she was like, would you like to go for an arranged marriage? I made the most horrible, disgusting face in the world. And I said, no, I'm not gonna, put a garland, that is the wedding garland, in, some random boy's neck. That is what I told her.
It was nice knowing you.
But as I had said in previous videos, pushing my chair does not achieve anything.
It helps push you away.
But that is what I had said. And there was love in our story, but the way we met through was an arranged marriage portal.
Yes.
So I would say that, do what suits you the best. And when you meet the right person, whether it is in a love marriage or an arranged marriage, it will click, like something will happen. And you'll be like, okay, that is the person that I want to marry. At least I will speak for myself. In my case, that happened for him, for me. So I was like, okay, we have this direction in which we are moving together. Like, do we want kids or not? Or like, how do we want to live our life? All of these things were pretty similar, even though we were different as people.
Yeah.
So that really helped me make a decision, at least.
So what helped me make a choice actually was the fact that especially in case of love marriages, feelings of attraction come first and then comes the commitment. Whereas in the arranged marriages, it's completely flipped. So the first time we began to speak, I had no romantic feelings towards her whatsoever. She was just a complete and total stranger. But we met under a certain set of preconditions which stated that if this works out, it will be a union and it will be a marital union, right? And it happens within a religious context. So if you see marriage as a contract between man and woman, then both of you are incentivized to get the most out of it. On the other hand, the religious view of marriage in a traditional sense is that it's a commitment between man and woman under God. So when you think that it's a holy or heavenly covenant and you genuinely believe that, then you are a bit more hesitant to transgress that holy boundary. Whereas if it's just a contract, you might well be incentivized to act in a selfish fashion.
Exactly.
Another thing is that you have quite, like, my expectations when I entered arranged marriage were much more realistic. It wasn't that, oh, I'll find the sexiest woman alive or whatever. It was more like, okay, I'll find a good person. I need to build a life with that person, and she won't be perfect. I'm not perfect. And we just need to find a bond that works and allows me and her to stay in relative harmony most of the time,
Yeah.
right? So when you walk into it with this kind of a mindset, you are much more realistic. And honestly, the fact that I did not have feelings for her allowed me to judge her much more rationally. Because when your heart gets in the way, feelings get in the way, and you see what you want to see in that person. So you project your ideal onto that person, and that may not be who and what that person actually is. So the fact that I was not in love with her, I did not have any romantic feelings for her, helped me judge her much more objectively. Over to you.
Also, the fact that like in an arranged marriage, you know what is going to be the final outcome. Like this is going to go to marriage. I mean, that's why you're there. Sometimes what happens in a love marriage, or at least people in a relationship who are thinking of getting married, so there is a lack of clarity between two parties. So one party is like, I want to marry after 5 years. One party is like, no, I want to marry after two. So you see a lot of difference in the way that you are going to proceed with the whole thing. Since you were just thinking about that as a relationship and not that in terms of marriage. So this is a common problem that I see amongst people who are in a relationship and might go towards a love marriage or are thinking of getting married. So
yeah, so I mean, I would say if there's a young man listening to us, and many of you guys are, the world out there is horrible. I won't lie to you. Legal systems are horrible and they are biased against men. I'll be very, very candid with you. I took a risk, I did. God help me. Like, seriously, I did. But be very, very careful in whom you choose as a partner, because trust me, guys, a job can be changed, right? But this is the most important decision you'll ever make in your entire life, the person you choose to spend your life with. And personally, when I chose it based on these criteria, it helped me more.
right.
And if you see in the West, or if you see anywhere, couples who live together are actually and then get married are actually more likely to get divorced.
Yeah,
And
I've seen that as well.
that statistic you've seen. Additionally, in countries where there's this concept of just romantic love or whatever, divorce rates are through the roof. And I know there's a misconception in Asia about Asia amongst Europeans that Asian women are oppressed and not allowed to leave their husbands. That's not true. That's maybe true for a small minority in India, but it's not even close to the reality today.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think I have said everything I want to say. Over to you, Shalva.
So, yeah, I mean, what you said really sums up what I wanted to say as well.
Okay.
But like just a few points or maybe a few tips that I would want to give out. Because now, like marriage season is over in a way, because to be honest, nobody gets married in the summer. If you do, you're brave, like really. But this is the time when your parents, relatives, or friends might start pestering you to get married. And if you're of that age, or like if you already have someone, that's great. And you're thinking of getting married, this will also help you. But if you are, entering the arranged marriage, I don't like to call it market,
Arena,
arena,
where
stadium,
gladiatorial combat, meat market.
where the weapon of choice is rejection. Okay, that was way unnecessary, but yeah. But yeah, if you are in that phase, so firstly, I wish you all the best, because I was in it about 2 years ago. Can't believe time has flown by. But I was 24. I had just turned 24 when my mom did the process of enrolling me, and like I of course started getting guys on that, and it was hard to filter them out, because you really tend to be you you like put all these parameters of where am I going to live after marriage, or how much money does he make, or what does he do, and all. And of course it is definitely wise to choose someone who has a good stable job. That is one thing I will definitely advocate for. But don't place so much importance on how much money he makes. I know this is going to sound so weird, but this is just how I think. Or where you're going to live, because that's the magic and beauty of life. Like it can change. You can, imagine you're going in one direction and your life can completely turn and not be the way that you wanted it to be. So to save disappointment, maybe do not go on an arranged marriage portal with these parameters in your head. Look at the person and look at the qualities and what this person is offering you. So now I'm going to make Sharan all awkward. That's what I do frequently on this channel. But when I chose him, Awkward faces here. So when I chose him, I definitely was interested in what he did and what he had done before, what he was planning to do ahead in his life. But one thing that I really looked at was his main quality, and what I like about him, I've mentioned it on this channel, is that he's very hardworking. And I really admire people who are hardworking, and I chose him for that because I thought that it would be a wise choice. It would be good for me to secure my future in that way if I am with someone who is hardworking. So,
I chose based on moral character because, in my experience, and I think that's the most important virtue that, in my humble opinion, men should look for in a woman. Of course, you're free to do whatever you want, you're free to choose along whatever parameters you feel are valuable. But I had this because you can't compute your way, you can't logically analyze your way through this. But my gut feeling was that she seems like to be a good person, and ultimately that's all you can do. Take a risk. Life is a risk, and at most you can do is take a chance on the right person, and hopefully it works out. God willing.
yeah, for the
I
best.
think
Exactly. So I guess we should end this debate
yes.
here by saying that, we wish you all the best in finding your perfect partner. This was our experience. Please go and watch our video of how we met because that's a very interesting story. And thank you guys so much for the love once again that you have given to this channel. We see subscribers increasing every day. So if you think we're not paying attention, we actually are.
We are.
And we also see the comments. Of course, I will not speak on the comments on the most recent video, but we still get a lot of comments on our previous one. So we know that you guys are actively engaging with our
Yes.
content. So thank you so much. And our posting schedule has changed a bit. We are just experimenting with the channel a bit. So we will again come to a point, I have come to a point where we'll be posting weekly and not bi-weekly as we were doing before. So you'll get an update from us about what is going on and what video are we posting every Saturday. So make sure you stay tuned, make sure you press the bell icon
Yeah.
and like, share and subscribe.
Bye,
Thank you
guys.
guys. Bye.